What is happening, everybody? This is Waylon, aka D, from the Speak It Boldly Sports Podcast, coming with you with another boxing talk episode number 9. I'm jumping straight into it. If you haven't seen it, the Nightcap part of the show was Shannon Sharp, Ocho, and Joe interviewing Shakur, and Shannon Sharp, aka going back and forth with Shakur and different things like that. The focus of this video is, I want to focus on Shakur. Also, the news with him signing to Zufa, which had been reported but was official. I know they had like a interview with Dana White, Shakur, and whoever was the interviewer, just announcing that you saw that's out there for you to go see that, and also for you to go watch the nightcap portion of the Shakur interview. But I just want to touch on a few things that Shakur said in that interview. Not really touching on like the back and forth with him and Shannon at different points, but we'll touch on aspects. I actually watched the whole thing, that segment, and I just wrote on a few things, especially early on in that video. So, so Shakur signed to Zufa for money. 100% respect that. You know, he got mouths to feed, things he was responsible for. Let me turn down this. My bad. I'm in the car doing this. Let me see. I want the AC on in the back. It's hot in Texas. It's like what, 96 degrees, 100 already. But no, he signed because of money. Like I say, I respect that. I would probably do the same thing. And if I was in those same shoes, you have opportunity to make money that you couldn't make signing to Matchroom or Top Rank again, which or with PBC or any other promotional company. So I do understand that aspect of it as well. But I'm gonna just read what he said, and I wrote this down. Like I said, go watch your interview because some things I did write down verbatim, but something I kind of shorthanded, and so it'll be a paraphrase, and I will make that known before I state what I state. So I wrote Shakur went to Zufa, money. And he did say this. He said, first priority, I love to get paid. I love to get money. So that off bat tells me that's what this move was about, which I respect 100%. With him making this move, though, and based off right now, what I understand with Zufa, as of now, is not in cahoots with Matchroom, DAZN, PBC, uh, or with Queensberry Promotions, which all four of those I just mentioned, Queensberry, Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank, are all will be fighting under DAZN on that platform, where Zufa is doing his own, is his own entity. So as far as some of the fights that we'll potentially see outside of Devin, I believe Devin is signing with Zufa. I believe we don't have that hasn't been officially announced. But as far as Tank or Shaki Foster or any 140 fighter, for that matter, let alone any 35 pounder that's not signed to Zufa, I'm not sure that'll be a difficult fight to make as of right now. So, okay. Shakur also said a lot of people said I wouldn't be in this position / my style is boring. So I did paraphrase this. So this was in reference to the amount of money he's making with Zufa, coinciding that with the style that he had. A lot of people said that that he's not an entertaining fighter, so how could he ever make big money? Because he wouldn't be. He's not a pay-per-view star based off his style, the way he fights, and then. But he said, a lot of people said I wouldn't be in this position because my style is boring, and his style is boring to a lot of like casual fans. I know a lot of boxing purists likes his style. I'm speaking on myself. I do like his style. There's things I like. He's a talented fighter. But going back to his most recent fight with Tio, there was moments in that fight when I watched that fight, and I was like, man, he can. Not necessarily. I'm not even talking about getting a KO. I'm not even, but kind of where you stamp it, where you seal the fight. You already dominated him just with one punch of jab. That I have to give credit to that. Like, you dominated with your jab, you dominated with your timing, you dominated with your speed. You controlled Tio. Didn't let him get off. Didn't let him get in a rhythm, because he is a rhythm-based fighter, Tio. But Shakur, it's almost remind me of like the Canelo Crawford fight to me, where there was no knockdowns, anything like that. But Crawford stamped the fight in the championship rounds with his combinations, with landing clean punches, to where he's stamping the rounds like where he's showing that okay, I'm dominating this fight. Where you can't say Crawford didn't win that fight. When like 9, 10, 11, 12, like the tail end of that fight, 9, 10, 11, 12, all Crawford. He put that fight away. There was no way you could even say Canelo won that fight. Even though me watching the fight earlier on, I kind of had the first 4 rounds close, but that's besides the point. But as far as stamping the fight, that don't always mean getting a knockdown or getting a knockout, but you stamping, you already having a great performance, you stamping even further. And that's the thing I feel with Shakur. Same thing I said with Devin before. They good. Okay, I'm already up on the cards. I just keep doing it. Da, da, da. Especially when you're controlling the fight. I know Shakur always mentions, he even mentioned in this interview with just being safe. He said he knows there's boxers that wish they had his skills, his talent, because they're making it safe at home to their family, and I 100% agree with that. But we know guys who died in the ring. But at the same time, with that, when you're beating a guy up like you are and controlling them, not just beating them up, ain't like y'all changing punches and you getting the better of that exchange. Like no, you're literally hitting them and you're not getting hit. You can go on the gas a little bit more and still be defensively responsible and still land some like damaging shots to them. Because there's been multiple fights, not just a TO fight. Even when he was on the top rank, I think he fought Jeremiah, I think pronounced Nakatila, the African guy. I think the fight with Armin, where both, I know at different points where Andre Ward and Crawford have told him like, hey bro, step on the gas, for lack of a better term. You could have stepped on the gas with him, or you could have got this guy up out of there. They was ready to go. So I think that's the part where Shakur, that doesn't mean rock'em sock'em robots, you just getting your head pounded in. No. But if you can get a guy up out of there and you still be safe about it, still be defensively responsible, which you will be, that's the difference. Because let's say Shakur runs the table. Eventually he fights Devin, beats him. Fights Tank, beats him. Fight Gary Anton Russell, beats him. Let's say he fights Abdullah Mason, beats him. And whoever else. Let's say he fights Ryan Garcia, beats him. All right. Because to me right now, Shakur is not. I wouldn't consider him an all-time great. Not even an all-time great talent right now with the current boxing. I think he's a good fighter. His best one so far has been, as far as a name, T.O. Great performance, but I don't consider him a all-time great because I think he just leaves too much to be desired. Yes, you won, but as far as all-time great, there's nothing that's you're not separating yourself. In my opinion, you're a good fighter. You're beating the guys of your current time. That's great. But to me, you do play it too safe, even when like there's another level for you to go and you still can not get hit. That's the thing I'm saying. I think Shakur is that good to where he could still be more offensive and still not get hit and really make these cats look crazy. I think he can be that good. So I'm not down on Shakur, but we'll see. Let me stay focused right here. There's a note I had here. Oh, there's no. Shakur said this. Shakur versus Devin should be the first fight that happens next. Shakur Stevenson said that in the interview. I think this was when Chad Ochocinco asked about like why does it always take so long for these bigger fights to happen between like you and Dev and the bigger names in the sport. And Shakur was answered that question. He said he feel like there's like pretty much not a delay. Everything's happening right on time. He said he feels Shakur versus Devin should be the first fight that happens next. Kind of twofold on this one because this was going back to Shakur and Keyshawn. If that happens, now especially to me, if Haney signs with Zuffa, I think it's a guarantee that happens. Of course, if Devin signs with Zuffa, that should be the first fight or one of the first fights. If not the first fight, it should be the top of the thing in, let's say, 2027, like January, them two fighting. But as far as Keyshawn, it would be like, that's the second time you stepped on my toes. To a degree. There's more to it than that, but I would be looking at that from that standpoint. And two, I know they had their public negotiations, Dev and Shakur, maybe just them talking, but supposed to be at 144, supposed to be catch weight, but Zuffa is supposed to be like traditional weight classes. You got lightweight, you got welterweight, then it's middleweight. 60, 47, 35. Ain't no 40, ain't no 54, no super middleweight, no 68, none of those additional weight classes. So just saying, assuming that fight, if they both sign to Zuffa, fight will be at 147. Or will Zuffa, make an exception in this situation? Because with Shakur also saying, uh, I'm a natural 135 pounder. Shakur is a 135 pounder naturally. And I have right next to it, I said lies. No, sir. You are not. Yes, I know Devin's big guy. But let's not understand he may rehydrate to whatever weight on the night of fight, whatever the case may be. But I'm like, you've also said publicly in other interviews, skills pay the bills. He always talking about like, if that, he said in the same interview, we don't want to have it at 40 because that's mean Dev have to drop too much weight. Then we don't want to have it at 47. I mean, I got to come up too much because we have it at 44. It's just okay, bro. Like it shouldn't. To me, this is me. I'm not a fighter, but I'm like him saying that he's a natural 135. It's like, bro, you like, and he even said it too in the same interview that with the Tio. He said Tio was bigger than me. You was bigger than Tio. We all like you act like we can't see, bro. You're like y'all are about the same size as you, maybe a little bit taller, but you're not. He tried to act like Tio moved up too from lightweight. Tio start as a professional started at lightweight, 135. Moved up to 40. Now he's at 47. Tio is. Shakur just act like he just he said for that part of the interview, which is a little bit later on from what I'm just said here. He said Tio, I moved up from 135. He bigger than me. He was already at 40. I'm like, bro, just because Tio moved up before you did and you moved up from 135, that does not make you the smaller guy. Just because you fight out the smaller weight class. A lot of y'all need to be fighting at higher weight classes because you making the weight fair. You going through the whole process of making the weight, cutting weight, making the weight cool. But some of y'all be big, bro, for the weight class. Even real quick, even when Tio fought Loma, there was a obvious size discrepancy there. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, it's just truth. But I was just like, yo, he got to stop with that. Oh, man, I'm a natural 135 pounder, man. No, you're not. No, you're not, brother. You're a growing young man. You're 20, I think 28, 29 years old. You're a grown man. You're a big, you're big. You are. Okay? Quit all that. I'm a natural. Then you should have followed Shaky Foster then. You should have stayed at, you shouldn't have signed with Zuffa, and you should have followed Dula Mason. More Tyler. Why is that brother name? I'm like, he got to stop with all this, all that. I'm a natural 135 pounder. I'm not a big guy. All right, brother. Same guy that said, you're not that talking to Ronnie Garcia after his win versus Barrios. You're not that big. So on the same topic, when Chad initially asked about fights, I think Shannon followed that up by saying, let me see where Gary Russell, Lamont Roach. Okay, he did mention like 4 fights that he would potentially want because he said he wants to fight. He usually fights twice a year, so he's trying to fight again. He said Devin Haney. He mentioned Tank Davis. He mentioned Gary Russell, and then he mentioned Lamont Roach. So I know Lamont Roach is going to be fighting Zepeda soon. But he mentioned one of them. He mentioned those 4 that he would like to fight one of those 4. But I know he didn't give an order, but he mentioned those 4. And going back to the whole Zuffa thing, I'm just trying to see how that works with I think I believe Lamont. I know they're all fighting on its own platform, but as far as promotional wise, I think Lamont and Gary, I believe, are with PBC. Um, then I'm not really sure about Devin and Tank, but I know it's PBC. So we'd have to see how that works, like between Zuffa and these other platforms. Maybe behind the scenes, maybe there's other information, other ways for Devin and Shakur to be able to fight these other guys while still being signed to Zuffa. I think Zuffa want to make the most of their investment from a business standpoint. We're just not going to let y'all just go have these fights over there, and we're not involved in any way, or not as a company getting any type of recognition or any type of financial benefit from that, because that would be crazy for Zuffa to put this money for these fights that's going to be on his own platform. So that means like Zuffa's going to have to, Zuffa along with the other promotion companies, have to come to the table to an agreement in these situations. So yeah, we have to see what's going on with that. He also said, Shakur said in this interview, I don't need Devin Haney or Tank to make, I'll paraphrase this part, to make big fights. That's not exactly what he said, but to make fights. He mentioned that with him signing to Zuffa, like he said, he mentioned I can make millions. Because I can make millions with Zuffa boxing. And throughout the interview at different points, he also made mention of himself being like, the best in the world, being the guy. No mention of the face of boxing, but my thing with Shakur, Devin, like, when Turkey came into boxing, was some big paydays for guys that cannot sell. And so, like you said, you can talk about market value, it became inflated for a lot of guys. Same thing with Zuffa's doing, trying to, get things going, get the ground running. So you're going to overpay for guys that you're trying to build your roster, different things like that. But my thing with this situation, yeah, like you said, I can make millions with Zuffa. You can't make millions with Top Rank. Well, yes, you can make millions, but you're not about to make top dollar like you was getting top dollar with Top Rank, with Matchroom, with PBC, because they're going to get you at market value. I've seen a lot of interviews with Eddie Hearn where he's saying, hey, some of these guys, because what we're investing in you, we're not going to get that back on one of your events potentially. So why I'm going to be at why I'm operating at a loss when I'm going to pay you 10 million, but your real value is really 1.1 million, hypothetically. In the event you're doing, you're the main event. We're maybe break even in certain situations. So I know a lot of these promotional companies like Matchroom, Queensberry, PBC is like, no, we're not about to overpay you. This is what you provide. This is what you bring to the table. And this is what you're going to get. So I understand his move to sign with Zuffa, because you don't want to step back after you got that turkey money. You don't want to take a step back. I understand that. I get it. But I think some of these like Devin, especially Devin and Shakur, like have an inflated view. Of their skills. I can't question their skills, their skill set. I'm not talking about that, but as far as their market value, like from the standpoint, y'all aren't Tank Davis from the standpoint of your ability to draw. Y'all not drawing like that. I think Shakur forget, like, you still have people in your hometown leaving your fights because how boring it was. That's just the truth, the facts of the matter. But yeah. Because he said I can make millions with Zuffa. Yeah, you definitely can. Boxing is under one umbrella. All of us is with Turkey. According to an interview with Eddie Hearn, I mean, he mentioned as far as with Zuffa, it's like, I'm paraphrasing, he mentioned like it's like war. Like he's not ready to come. I think Turkey is trying to have like peace talks, but I don't know with these other promoters what that's going to, like behind the scenes, what that's looking like. Will they actually want to even work with Zuffa? That's to me like the biggest question. Outside, like if Devin signs with Shakur, if Devin signs with Zuffa, then a Shakur Devin fight definitely should happen. We're on the same, signs the same promotion company. Hey, that should be one of the first fights to get cracking. Get it cracking. Maybe y'all each have a fight versus, I don't know. I don't know who all on the Zuffa roster at welterweight or lightweight. I know you got Rayo, Edwin De Los Santos at lightweight. I don't know who's at 47. Richardson Hitchens. I don't know who else is at lightweight. I mean, at welterweight. But y'all too, if y'all don't meet by this year, definitely top of 2027. January, February, y'all should be fighting. I said no later than February after the Super Bowl, y'all should be fighting if it's like next year. Maybe the week after the Super Bowl. Something like that. So I don't know how together everybody, I don't know. He made that statement. We all with Turkey. So, they're all signed to, they fighting on the zone platform. PBC, Top Rank, Matchroom, Queensberry. And whoever else, there's some other promotional company. I'm just mentioning those four. But let me see. So Shannon Sharp did say later on in the interview, he said, I don't believe you will get the credit without KOing people. Kind of going back to my point. Now, I didn't mention KOs, but like I say, for me, as a watching this, being a fan of the sport, you don't always have to get KOs. But sometimes you do, as a fighter, need to stamp a fight, stamp rounds to close it out. Or if you're having a dominating performance, stamp it even further while still being defensively responsible. That's why I look at David Benavidez. I look at Bam Rodriguez. I look at Boots. People, as far as Boots, want to talk about him getting hit a lot, but Boots and these other three guys don't leave no stone unturned in that ring. Bam was getting touched versus Vargas, but he closed the show. David Benavidez closed the show with Zerto. To me, that's been the best individual performance all year in boxing with David Benavidez. Because not just getting the finish, but he was controlling Zerto. He was landing punches, was in control, ring generalship. Even if they don't get the knockout, you'd be like, dang, this dude is stamping this fight. He wasn't able to knock him out, but man, he closed the show. Head, body, controlling him, not getting hit. And that's more so what I mean. I don't understand. Shannon Sharp said KOing people. Usually that's a casual take, like far as the KO, and that's not Shakur style. But as far as, and Shakur don't leave it really up to the judges because it is convincing, his style, the way he fights. But we'll see when you do fight what we perceive as better competition. Shakur, like I said, may blow him out the water. And I'm going to give him his credit. If he fight Tank, if he unanimous decision is dominant, like, ain't nothing I can say. My thing is, even with Devin and whoever else, if you controlling them like that, and understand, playing it safe, coaching, cool, do your thing. I'm not about to kill him for it. But when you're talking about all-time greats, guys that control other good fighters, you in control, you win and blah, 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 and you still, well, you knock them out, but you can see, like, I'm trying to get them up out of here. Well, I'm going to always go your way, but you bop, 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 bopping them up, killing them, hooks, jabs, uppercuts, head, body, combinations. And you stamping that round, you stamping this fight, like you leaving your imprint, letting them know. From my standpoint, that's more so where I'm coming from. And Shannon Sharp did mention like other fight, him growing up in the 70s, 80s, mention Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, I mean, they did mention Floyd, and, bringing up his later half of his career. But looking at that first half of his career, Floyd, when he was at, 26, 30, even 40, he was putting guys, putting guys away. Tagging guys. Maybe he didn't always get the knockout, but it was okay. Yeah, I understand he got the 47, the one fight at 54, his hands. But still, to me, it's still a difference between Floyd and Shakur. Yes, defensively responsible. Yes, it is different. Good hand speed, good feet, but we'll see with Shakur as he steps up in competition. We'll see. And as the interview went on, when Shakur and UNK really started to get into it, they mentioned making a bet because I think UNK was like, People like Tank, I got to put some money on Tank for his betting because he believe Tank will win. And Shakur, they talk about all that betting stuff, right? But then Shakur was like, at some point with this aspect of the interview, tell Tank to fight me. That's what he said. Tell Tank to fight me. Whatever that means. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, call me out. I guess. I don't know. I just be like, bro, just make the fights, bro. No, tell him to fight me. No, you tell him to fight me. I'm like, whatever, bro. I was just, long story short, that's kind of all the notes I wrote down. Things I was just kind of like hitting on, like kind of paying attention to, because Shakur be lying in these interviews, like real talk. Say one thing over here, come back, say something else over here. I just be like, oh my gosh, bro, it's ridiculous. All the talking between like these three, like Tank, Dev, and Shakur. I just be like, oh, so annoying. But it is what it is. That's it's what they do. But my thing is with, because to me, to be honest, Shakur, I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, as he claimed. He feels, he self belief, self confidence, great. Like you had a good win versus To, which I thought was a good win. I think you say up until the To win, I would say Oscar Valdez was his first best win. I think that was at, I believe 130. I believe that was 130. To me, that was his best win up until the To win. I mean, I was on the top rank. I remember watching that fight. It was good, good win. I think it was a 12-round unanimous decision. He dominated from that standpoint. Like I said, Score has I think his greatest weapon is understanding distance management. That's like his best attribute. And I think with him having that capability, I was like, man, he should, like, his counterpunching ability should be off the charts. Like, it should be so, because almost like he can see stuff before, like, or his ability to react. I don't know exactly what he sees when he's in the ring. Like, is it him knowing, can see it before happening, or whatever he sees? But I feel like his counterpunch ability should be off the charts. And you do see it at times, but like to the point where he should just be cracking dudes. Not when I say cracking, not getting knockouts, but just clear shots. You know what I'm saying? But we will see, as far as what happens as far as with him and Dev, this whole Super signing. We'll see what happens. Time will tell. Time will definitely tell. But that's all I got. Shout out to boxing. Hopefully we get some good fights. Shout out to Rolly. To, I know they had their first presser. That should be a good scrap. I know people mad about it being pay-per-view, but it is what it is. But shout out to them. Shout out to the guys actually making fights. And we'll see if, as far as Boots, I heard, I saw where Tall Man Fundor, said after the, his mandatory that he wants to get at it with Boots. So that's cool. And it looks like potentially, since Fedor has his fight lined up with his mandatory, that maybe Boots will get Josh Kelly, which is a fight that I want to see. Actually, I feel like matchup wise, I like that fight. So I got Boots. I think he'll stop Josh Kelly, but I feel that's a good little fun matchup. I like Josh Kelly. I know he's had some up and down in his career, but that's a fun matchup. Like I Boots in that one, but that's a fun matchup. Kind of wish they said maybe in the States. I kind of wish it was in the UK. Just just cause. But hopefully that's to be the next fight. I don't want to see Virgil Ortiz, not because I don't want to see that fight, but him being out and dealing with whatever he had going on. It's like, bro, yeah, you need to fight. Who could Virgil fight at 154? That's not a champ. Fight Jermell Charlo. I'm thinking. Who at 54? 54, who we got? At 154 pounds. Hold on, let me look. Hold on. Okay, so a good comeback fight for Mr. Ortiz. What about Murtazalev? Murtazalev. I think I'm saying that right. You got Jonas Teles. You know, he may be a little bit green versus Virgil. But I think Bakram coming off a loss. That's to me, that's a good scrap. They both somebody like to come forward. That's a dangerous fight. Former champion. I understand he lost to Josh Kelly. I get it. Now I don't know. I didn't look to see if he has anything lined up, but I'm like, hey, I respect that versus because he's fought so far. You fought a Walsh, and I did say Jermell Charlo for that. Be between them two, Jermell Charlo and Murtazalev. Why not? Get to it. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'll talk about that 54 class again later. Comeback fight. Or if not, Fundora. If Boots ends up fighting Josh Kelly, Fundora fight who he fight. Shoot, but I doubt they are teasing them go that route, trying to fight Fundora. First fight coming off, you've been off for almost like a year, if not a year already. Yeah, I doubt they do that. I wouldn't recommend if I had a fighter. I wouldn't recommend he do that. If I was a fighter, I wouldn't do that. That makes me scared. Nah, you need to get. You got any risk it, But if he ready, he ready. So yeah, I'm out here.